Testing 1, 2, 3. Good morning, everybody. Welcome back to Crypto Warehouse. My name is Mike. It is Saturday, the 6th of April already. Now, normally on a Saturday, we are in the office, or in the studio, should I say. Brogan is with me. We're normally on camera, but he is off on holiday. He's going to have a long holiday, so he is not with us today, and he will be back, however, on Monday. So, unfortunately, you are stuck with me. So we have another packed show. We are going to talk about a lot of things today. The menu is fairly full. We are going to try and get through it, but I'm not in a rush today. So we're going to get through the menu. There's a Fed interview, which just beggars belief. We're going to look at Goldman Sachs. We're going to look at the Bitcoin Ethereum pair. We're going to look at Cardano. We're going to look at Sonygon and 10 meme reels, and then my final thoughts. Now, I do apologize. A lot of people must spend a good few seconds trying to work out what the headlines are of the day. We are going to go through them one by one and explain to you what all of that means. Good morning, Clemo. Good morning to Tariq, Tata, Mags, the usual crowd. Louise, thank you for following us. Welcome to the stream. What we're going to go through before that is we're going to go through the market, and we're going to go through some X-Files. But before we begin, bottom left-hand corner, we're just under 117,000 subscribers. Top left is the date. Bottom right is my target, $74,000. I am not going to give up on that. I think we're going to be there next week, and I'm going to tell you why throughout the show. So sit down, grab a coffee, enjoy yourself. I am not rushing today. Even though we try and get everything done in an hour, we are just going to take our time. So Bitcoin is coming in at exactly $68,000. Ethereum is coming in at $33.40. The market cap is up. It's up 1.3%. Still about that 2.54, 2.55, 2.5 trillion market cap. I still think we will push up towards 10 trillion. 9 trillion by the end of the bull run. That's my goal, my target, and that, as I keep saying, is about a 4x from where we are now. So that will give you some idea of where I think the markets are going to go. Now, volume, the last few days, the volume has been really down. We were over 100 billion a day for a good few weeks. We've now fallen below 100 billion for at least 3 or 4 of the last 5 or 6 days. Bitcoin dominance is moving up 52.7%. That was at 51.8, 51.7 a week or so ago. ETH dominance is falling as well. Now, gainers and losers, I haven't looked at these. These are going to be a surprise to me and to you. So Athena is up, Audi is up, Pendle is up, Flare, Injective, some good gainers today, eCash, Ondo, and the coin that I will never speak of are all up. Losers then, not too many. Haven't seen too much bad press, to be perfectly honest with you. Maker is down a touch, Mantle is down a touch, ETH Classic, Bitcoin SV and Tron. Nothing really major is up or down in the last 24 hours. There's not been an awful lot of bad press. What we are going to go through is the reasons why we should all be bullish for next week. Remember, we've only got 14 days left. 14 days before the halving. 2 weeks today, maybe we have a live halving party. That's something we haven't thought about. Maybe we will do that. So stay tuned. Genesis has finally finished selling the $2 billion worth of its Grayscale Bitcoin holding. Now, if you've been wondering why we've been down over the last, I don't know, week and a half, this is it. Genesis has been selling off to the tune of $2 billion. They haven't done it every day. The question you got to ask yourself is, who in their right mind sells their Bitcoin 2 weeks before the halving? I mean, potentially it will be one of those news headlines where in 3 or 4 years' time, somebody will retweet this and say, did you know if Genesis had held on to this Bitcoin, it would now be worth $10 billion. It's going to be one of those headlines that's going to pop up in the next 3 or 4 years because it's insanity. Absolutely insane. Now then, this is going to lead on to one of the articles we're going to talk about, which is Goldman Sachs. This week we talked about Goldman Sachs saying they saw no future in Bitcoin. They didn't see any institutional demand from their clients, any retail demand from their clients. And I basically said they were lying. Now, BlackRock has just updated its Bitcoin ETF prospectus with many new authorized participants, including Citadel, UBS, Citigroup, and Goldman Sachs. Goldman Sachs, the same company that said 4 or 5 days ago that there was no interest in Bitcoin, are now listed on the BlackRock prospectus. Think about that. Do as they do, not as they say. Just bear that in mind. Now, a lot of you are trying to claim your Zeus tokens on the Solana network, and you will know that Solana has slowed down dramatically, and I'm going to tell you why in a second. But before we get to that, let's go through some of these. Actually, we'll leave that one for a second. We'll do John Brown first, and then we'll get onto that one. That's the Fed interview. So the halving affects the market over time. Being a continuum, it is wrong to ask if it is priced in or not. The correct question should be, how much is priced in? Certainly a few weeks, likely a few months, unlikely many, many months, and certainly not years. Now, I tend to agree with this. The price action that we have seen from Bitcoin has been partly to do with the halving, partly to do with the ETF demand. Why wouldn't you want to buy a $40,000 or a $30,000 Bitcoin if you know it's going into 6 figures? Why would you not want to buy it knowing that BlackRock and Fidelity are going to open their doors and bring in a whole new generation of boomers to buy Bitcoin? Of course you would. How much is it priced in? I don't think we are priced in for the all-time high. I think we are priced in for the ETFs. I think we are mostly priced in for the halving, but we are certainly not priced in for any supply shock or any all-time highs yet. It's wrong to think that 2 weeks before the halving, we could possibly have the price of Bitcoin of where it's going to go. We've not priced that in yet. We don't have FOMO. What we do have FOMO of is countries are FOMOing into Bitcoin. And that's really where we want to be. Now, before we get on to the interview then, the entire reason that Solana has ground to a halt is down to these chaps. Ore Supply, which is a project that runs on Solana that allows you to mine their token. Their token's value currently is $1,800. I have signed up to them today. I have tried to start mining, and I'm going to make a video when the mining works. But it isn't working because Solana has been crushed. They have gone from nowhere to be the 3rd largest app on Solana since the 2nd of April in 4 days. So I'm going to try and mine just to see what it's like, just so we can see how it works. I don't know. It could be a Ponzi scheme. It could be a very poor attempt at building out a new token. Again, there's a lot of things happening on Solana, and some of them you can't see them coming, and this is another one. So I'm going to try and do a review. It's called Ore Supply. I don't know anything about them other than they allow you to mine. So I'm going to have a look at it, see what I think, and then I'm going to let you guys know in a video that I'm probably going to make today. I've also made a video on the Jupiter DAO voting system. There are people all over Twitter who haven't been able to claim Zeus because they don't know that you have to vote. There's 2 elements to it: staking your dupe and voting. If you do not vote, you do not get the airdrop. So I'm going to make a video about that. It's only going to be a 3 or 4 minute video. And I'm just going to reiterate what I've just said. You have to vote to get the tokens. No vote, no token. Now, this was an incredible interview. The Fed was asked the question, would it put Bitcoin on its balance sheet? You already said on record that you have an unlimited supply of dollars. Does it make sense to trade some of them for a currency with a hard cap? And Kashkiri's answer, again, will be studied by future historians. He compares Bitcoin to Beanie Babies. He talks about Bitcoin bros. He talks about the fact that in 14 years, Bitcoin has not had a use case. I'm not going to sit here and I'm not going to mock him, because a lot of the time, the reason people talk like this is lack of education. Now, he's going to turn around and say that he's got a degree in economics or a master's in economics. And if he has, then what he's saying here is a lie, and he will know it is a lie. There are 6 tenets of money. There are 6 tenets of currency. Currency and money are 2 different things. Currency is issued by a country. Money isn't. I think that's the right way around. Bitcoin ticks all the boxes. It has trust, it's easily transferable, it has a value, a widely acknowledged value, and he's trying to talk about Bitcoin as if Bitcoin was something you would go to the shop and buy a loaf of bread with. How many times in your life have you gone to your local shop with 1 gram of gold to buy your groceries? I would hazard a guess, not a single person listening to this has ever bought their groceries with gold. Has that man there ever gone to the barber's and paid for his haircut with gold? No. Does that mean that gold doesn't have a use case? Does that mean that gold doesn't have a value? Of course not. Of course it doesn't. The American dollar was based on the gold standard. That gold standard was removed. They removed the dollar from the gold standard because they wanted to print more money without having to buy gold. And they wrecked the economy 70 years ago when they did it, 80 years ago, whenever it was, when they came off the gold standard. The UK did it as well, by the way. So don't trust anybody that sits there and tells you that in 14 years we don't have a use case for Bitcoin, because they are politically motivated or they are lying. And I don't want to say he's either of those, but comparing Bitcoin to Beanie Babies when Bitcoin is a $1.4 trillion asset, which has been adopted by nation states, which is held by millions of people, which is traded on a daily basis and has been for the last 10 years, which is being stored by major financial institutions on behalf of their clients, which is being bought by MicroStrategy, by Tesla. So for him to turn around and say Bitcoin has no value and it has no worth and it has no use case, he's talking gobbledygook. I'm not going to swear. It's a Saturday morning and I'm not going to go off on a rant, but just ignore them. Do as they do, not as they say. Goldman Sachs said last week that there was no demand for Bitcoin, and yet they have been added to the list of clients on the prospectus of BlackRock. They are taking the mickey out of everybody. Everybody is laughing. Look at what BlackRock said 4 years ago. It's only used for scams. It's only used for this, that, and the other. It's an easy slur to throw. 4 years down the line, oh, Bitcoin's the greatest tool of financial freedom the world's ever seen. 4 years ago, it was only used by criminals. What changed? I tell you what changed. They built a system to allow them to monetize Bitcoin for their own benefit. That's what happened. And it took them 4 years, 3 or 4 years. Now then, BlackRock Bitcoin ETF gets backing from Wall Street titan Goldman Sachs. This is what I was telling you about at the beginning. And again, I'm going to try and stay calm. The success of Bitcoin ETFs is even forcing crypto skeptics to clamour for a piece of the action. And there is Goldman Sachs again. Several major US banks have been added as partners to their spot Bitcoin ETF product. In post-effective amendments filed on Friday, BlackRock named Citadel, Goldman Sachs, we've talked about this, as authorised participants for its iShares. An authorised participant is responsible for creating and redeeming shares of the fund to keep the price of IBIT joined at the hip with that of Bitcoin. BlackRock confirms to Decrypt that the new banks have been added as authorised participants. The 4 new banks join a prestigious list including ABN AMRO, JP Morgan, Jane Street. Who else on there that you might know? Nobody really. So the findings came in. They were added as early as March the 4th. Rumours that Goldman Sachs could join in with both BlackRock and Grayscale have been circulating for months. The latter's addition is apparently at odds with the opinions of the bank's own executives about the crypto industry. During a recent interview, Sharmin Mossavar-Rahmani, CIO of the bank's wealth management unit, said crypto was not an investment asset class and that she and her bank clients are not believers in crypto. That said, Goldman Sachs already has a dedicated digital assets unit, whose Asia Pacific lead Max Milton said last month that the largest clients are active or exploring this space. You tell me which of those two statements you believe. Is it A, not an investment class and not believers in crypto, or is it B, their own digital assets unit talking about their largest clients being active or exploring getting into the space? Which of those two statements is true? Because they're both said by the same company. Now, I would be very worried if I was the CEO of Goldman Sachs and I had my CIO saying one thing and my digital assets unit saying another, because somebody's head would roll, because it's making them look like amateurs. And I'm sick of them trying to pull the wool over your eyes by telling you that Bitcoin has no value, Bitcoin has no worth, just to get you to sell, just to sow that seed of doubt in your mind that you shouldn't hold Bitcoin. It's as transparent as the day is long. Now then, very quickly, we're not going to spend too long on this because we have a lot to get through. And this is basically, Brogan thinks, and I'm not throwing him under the bus here, that there is a bull pennant. That bull pennant takes us to $93,000. It isn't an actual bull pennant, but if we remove that for a minute, that was just a bit of tongue-in-cheek. Brogan does think we're going to 94,000. He said on, I think he said on Monday or Wednesday night. What we are in is we are in this very tight range, which is getting tighter. So at some point, about here, we are going to break up or we're going to break down. Now, personally, you know what I'm going to think. We're going to break up. I do think that 94,000 target, we should be concentrating on getting to about here first, 74,000. That's my target for Bitcoin. Nothing's really changed. I'm very happy that we've now got this RSI, which isn't in the 80s and 90s. Very happy about that. We've had a cool off, a nice cool off period. The weekly, I think, is still coming down. Yeah, so the weekly is coming down. So that's now coming down to here. That could very well do that kind of price action on the weekly. But daily, it's looking good. 4 hourly, not too bad. Hourly, not too bad. So we're in a good position. We're in a good position. You should be feeling confident with yourselves. When you get up in the morning, remember to look in the mirror and say to yourself, I'm not going to sell my Bitcoin today. And no, that wasn't financial advice from Mike, but I'm still not going to sell my Bitcoin. Just think to yourself that that's what you're going to do. Now, I have put the halving in here. I don't know why we have two. Let's get rid of that one. So that's when the halving is. Saturday, the 20th of April, which is 2 weeks today. Now, I believe it's about 8 or 9 o'clock on Saturday night, Central European time. So midnight where some of you guys are, 7 p.m. if you're in the UK, but it's Saturday evening. I don't know whether I'm going to live stream on Saturday evening for the halving. I think we should. I think we should do a Saturday evening stream. So maybe we will give that a go. Who knows? Anyway, let's move on. I digress. Happy about Bitcoin. I think if we'll stay in this range, hopefully for a few more days, and then we will break out. Now, what isn't good news, what is far from good news, is the Bitcoin ETH pairing. Now, I'll bring up the article and I'll also bring up the chart, because we spoke about this maybe a month ago, maybe even longer. And I was talking about how ETH had broken out of its downward trend against Bitcoin, and it was gaining on Bitcoin. And then, this is the wrong chart again. Why does it keep bringing up the wrong chart? Let's see if I can find it. I don't think I'm going to be able to find it. There we go. That's the one. Okay. So we would have been looking at this in February. And I said this was good news. So this is the Bitcoin Ethereum pair. Now, for those of you that have no idea what a Bitcoin Ethereum pair is, this is the value of Bitcoin directly against the value of Ethereum. So 0.05 is you get, for 20 Ethereum, you can buy 1 Bitcoin. That's all it is. So you multiply 0.05 by 20 and you get to 1. So you get 20 Ethereum for 1 Bitcoin, or you can buy 1 Bitcoin for 20 Ethereum. That is all it is. Now, we would have covered it probably in this movement here. That's when we would have been talking about it, because I said it had broken out, and I also said it needs to get above that level. And guess what? We come back to it a month and a bit later, and we didn't. And what did we do? We came down, we bounced off support, and we fell beneath. And now we are absolutely tanking. Now, this isn't good news for Ethereum, because Bitcoin is starting to lead the way. We'll go back over the charts in a second, but that was just a very quick preview. Is this on Bloomberg? Some analysts view this metric as a gauge of speculative fever. 3-year high ratio signals ebbing demand for smaller coins. This is going to block me, isn't it? Absolutely typical. Let me look, see if I can find another article on it. It isn't Bloomberg. I can't look at that one. Can't look at this one. Let's have a look at this one. This is from the 8th of January, though. Anyway, forget the article. We'll move on. It's 11:23. We don't need the article when we have the oracle in the background. So, let me go to weekly just to kind of expand on this. In September 2022, the Bitcoin Ethereum pair was 0.08. Roughly 16 Ethereum would buy you 1 Bitcoin. So if you had 16 Ethereum in October 2022, you would be able to buy 1 Bitcoin. And ever since then, we've put in pretty much lower highs for almost 2 years, and we looked like we were breaking out. And I think a lot of this movement here was due to the speculation about the Ethereum ETF, I think. So this downward trend broke in January. Now, why did it break in January? Well, in my opinion, it broke in January because the Bitcoin ETF got approved. And once the Bitcoin ETF was approved, all the speculators then started to jump on the bandwagon of Ethereum and thought, you know what, we're going to get this Ethereum ETF, so we're now going to go and buy Ethereum. Then the price of Ethereum ran up faster than the price of Bitcoin. That's what this is all about. It's the price of Ethereum against Bitcoin. Now, if Ethereum goes up faster than Bitcoin, you see these movements. If Bitcoin rises faster than Ethereum, you see these movements. That's all it is. So we had this attempt here at 0.06. We didn't break it. We tried again, 0.06, we didn't break it. Now we've come all the way down to 0.048. Where do I see this going? Well, unfortunately, I think we're going to do this for a very long time. The reason is we are not going to get the Ethereum ETF in May. People are now starting to come round to my way of thinking. People who know way more than I do are coming round to my way of thinking. It was a 95% certainty a month and a half ago. It's now a 25% certainty. So it's not going to happen anytime soon. Simply because you are trying to compare apples with pears. Bitcoin is apples, Ethereum is pears. They're two totally different assets. You cannot just say, oh, well, you know, we got the Bitcoin ETF. We're going to get the Ethereum one. It doesn't work that way. Ethereum is proof of stake, number one. Bitcoin is proof of work. Ethereum has a head, Bitcoin doesn't. There's many different reasons why the SEC are going to delay it. And that's what's going to happen. Now, if for some absolute white swan event of them approving the Ethereum ETF, you are going to see this straight away. It is going to go back up. That's $4,000, maybe $4,200 for Ethereum. And then if it breaks, it has a long way to go. If you think about it, if it goes to 0.1, where it used to be way back in the day, that's a tenth of the price of Bitcoin. So if Bitcoin is at $70,000, Ethereum would be at $7,000. If it's 0.05, Bitcoin is at $70,000, Ethereum is at $3,500. Simple ratios, whatever you want to call it. But we're not going to get it until maybe February, March next year, because nobody's making positive sounds in the SEC. Nobody's making positive sounds. The Ethereum ETF is not if, but when. I've heard that 100 times now. But when isn't now. When is next year. So can expect to see this, continue to do this for the foreseeable future. And what that means is, if you hold Bitcoin and you're thinking about buying Ethereum, don't buy your Ethereum yet. If you're thinking of diversifying and you own Ethereum and you don't hold Bitcoin, then think about buying Bitcoin. Maybe not buy it now, maybe buy it in, dollar cost averaging every 2 weeks or every week. Because if this continues for a while, or even if we have some kind of like parity we had here, even if it does this for a while, we're talking next year, just to give you an idea of when this is likely to happen for the Ethereum ETF. I think we are looking at probably about there. This is the weekly chart, by the way. This is the weekly chart. So I think we are there. So what I think is likely to happen is that this will do this for the next year. And we'll probably fall from 0.049 to 0.043. Now, that doesn't sound dramatic, but that's another 15% move. That Bitcoin will go up by 15% more in value than Ethereum. If you're holding both and you're holding them for the bull market, don't touch them. Hold your Ethereum, hold your Bitcoin. In my opinion, they're both going to do well. No one is ever going to time the market. There will be the odd winner that does it. But in general, if you've got one Bitcoin and you've got 10 Ethereum or 15 Ethereum and you've got a bag of Solana and AVAX and whatever, fine. This is for people looking to start to dollar cost average in now. At this moment in time, it doesn't look like Ethereum is the best bet. But if there is a white swan, if Gary Gensler gets replaced by his brother, if there is some kind of mind swap and Gary Gensler changes his mind, then we are going to do that. but nothing indicates the Ethereum ETF in the future. So if you want to hold both, by all means, dollar cost average into both. If you have too much Ethereum and you want to get into Bitcoin, consider doing it now. If you have too much Bitcoin and you want to get into Ethereum, other way around, maybe wait a little bit until the pair falls again in value, because I can see Ethereum losing ground against Bitcoin, losing steam. None of that was financial advice, by the way. All of that is my opinion, and my opinion only. Now then, let's move on very quickly. Grayscale drops Cardano and Cosmos from its crypto funds in quarterly rebalancing. So that's why it's called Cardano, because that's not good news for anybody. Following the news, ADA and Atom have faced considerable price struggles during the past day. Prominent crypto asset management firm Grayscale has removed two high-profile digital assets, Cardano and Cosmos, from its multi-asset funds as part of its quarterly fund rebalancing. Now, again, I'm not going to pass judgment on this just yet. So they have, in Grayscale, obviously you know Grayscale from their ETF, they also have trusts. They have Ethereum, they have the one that we spoke about this week, which was the dividend-paying one, the yield-bearing one, where they buy into yield-bearing assets like Solana, or staking rewards, dividends, same kind of thing. They also have another group of funds that are made up of different assets. They just basically cobbled a load of them together and went, you know what, that's a product. Because I've looked at some of them in the past and they don't make sense. But there we go. They've got a Grayscale smart contract platform X Ethereum fund and a digital large cap fund. Fair play. So according to the firm, the changes were prompted by CoinDesk's recent rebalancing of its industry sector indices. Grayscale further explained that the components and weightings of each asset are determined according to each index's methodology. So at this moment in time, the fund is 70% Bitcoin, 21% Ethereum, 4.5% Solana, and 3% in XRP and Avalanche. Now, as funds go, I will agree, that is a mighty fine fund. I hold all of those assets. I obviously don't, you know what, I probably nearly do hold them. No, maybe not. I nearly hold them in those weightings as well. I have a lot of Bitcoin. I have then substantially less Ethereum, but still a fair old amount. And then I've got Solana, XRP, Avalanche, as well as a few others. But that isn't a bad fund. Now, in the other fund, they've got 58.4% Solana, 14.5% Cardano, 12% Avalanche, Polkadot, and Polygon. Again, that is also not a bad fund at all. I mean, the reason these aren't bad funds is if you don't know what you're doing and you've got a lot of money and you go to Grayscale and you said to me, what do you think of these two funds? I would say those two funds encompass an awful lot of what is positive in crypto. So if you were to weight this, for example, if you had $1,000, what would I do? I would put $600 into the first fund and $400 into the second fund, because that first fund already has the Bitcoin and Ethereum that you need, a little bit of Solana and XRP. The second fund, half of it is Solana. The chances of Solana going to $1,000 by the end of this bull run, in my opinion, are higher every day that we stay below $200. If Solana goes too quickly, I've said this before on the channel, I know, if we go too fast with Solana, like George from Cryptos Arrows is predicting a $1,000 Solana by the end of the year, I think that's, I mean, don't get me wrong, I would love Solana to be at $1,000 by the end of the year. But realistically, I expect Solana to be $1,000 by the end of the bull run, which is the end of next year, not this year. Again, his opinion, my opinion, none of them are fact. We don't have a crystal ball. But those two funds are really nicely weighted, in my opinion. So these two assets have declined. Remember, they've removed ADA from one of the funds, not all of the funds. Cardano's ADA, Cosmos' Atom fell by 4% each, roughly. Other large caps like Solana, they've also fallen during the period. I wouldn't consider the fall in ADA and Cosmos down to these funds. You also got to remember these funds, These are not multi-billion dollar funds. This is more news-based rather than affecting the price. When you see, I think Robinhood delisted a couple of tokens and the price dropped, and then somebody pointed out, well, who are Robinhood? Because when Robinhood listed those tokens, the price didn't pump, whereas they've delisted them and the price has fallen. So it's a news-based drop rather than a fundamentals-based drop. Kishan, ADA will pump back. I think, and I was thinking about this the other day, this pullback that we've had, this market pullback, has primarily been a series of events that have led from people believing there was going to be a pullback, coupled with the Genesis sale of $2 billion worth of Bitcoin. So we're having a game of hungry hippos at the minute, and 7 of the 8 hippos on the board are ETFs, and they're eating all of the Bitcoin up. I showed you yesterday that with Mr. 100 and the ETFs, so far this month, there are only, 8 or 18 Bitcoin left for the rest of us because they've absorbed it all. Now, Grayscale sold or had to sell that $2 billion, which it's done. It's finished. So imagine that Grayscale's sell-off is just more and more marbles being put onto the board. So even though those ETFs, those hungry hippos, are still eating the marbles, there's more and more marbles for them to eat. So they can keep eating, but it doesn't reduce the supply greatly. Now, next week, there won't be any more marbles added to the board. So those hungry hippos, those ETFs, are going to eat everything next week. Mr. 100 is going to eat everything next week. So that triggered, in my opinion, this mini correction. Good morning, Solo Sky. This mini correction. And, you know, if you look, maybe everything's down 10%. For argument's sake, let's say everything's down 10%. When is this? March. Let's go to the beginning of April. Right, so at the beginning of April, which is there, let's go to the daily. I don't know why I've made it so small for myself. Right, so if we go to the 1st of April, which is the start of this week, start of this week, we are down 8%. If we go back up here, we are down 10%. If we go to all-time highs, we are down 20%. Now that's a significant number because that's the pullback, roughly the pullback percentage that we have been seeing, 20%. Now I never get this right. I'm going to give it a go. Let's try if I can get it right. Look at that. Look at that. We are down 24% from that wick. So we're down 25%. That's a nice healthy pullback from where we were. And we've only come back as far as where we were on Valentine's Day. You know, we're not talking about the price of Cardano in October when it was at 24 cents. We're talking about pulling back from the recent all-time high of Bitcoin. And we've pulled back 8 weeks, 7 weeks. So it's not the end of the world. It's a healthy pullback. And look what it does as well. It brings us back, not in every instance on every coin, but in Cardano's case, we've kind of bounced off this level of support. We've bounced off this level of support, but we are also touching our bull market support band, which is, again, a healthy thing to do. This line here is the moving average price of Cardano. As long as we stay above that, we are good. Now, if we face a scenario, Kishan, I'm answering you directly on this. If we hit this line and we start to do this, then we're going to go in that direction. If we break and we do this, then we are going to go in that direction. So we need to confirm that we're going to bounce. And it looks as if we are going to bounce. Now, if I said that we're going to bounce on its own without any other information, I might as well just put my finger in the air and say, right, the wind's blowing east. What I mean by this is the grayscale sell-off has finished. Bitcoin will pump next week. If Bitcoin pumps next week, the alts will follow. So we will see this next week. That's what we are likely to see. And yes, we have levels of resistance along the way. It's not going to go up in a straight line. You know, we might get this kind of action along the way. I know, but I think we've seen the worst of it. We're so close to the halving now. I genuinely don't see another pullback in the next 2 weeks. I think we're going to get FOMO. I think we're at the point now of FOMO, because all of the news next week is going to be 13 days to go, 12 days to go, 10 more days to Halloween, if you like those kind of films. So what I think could happen is we could go like this, get back up towards here, and then post-halving, maybe we have a correction back. So I think everything, I don't think just Cardano, I think everything is going to recover over the next 2 weeks. And if it doesn't, we are in a world of pain. We are in a world of pain with the markets, because if we don't go into the halving on the back of a good run, we're likely to come down even further just after the halving. Remember, buy the rumor, sell the news. Then we could have a stunted bull run. But nothing indicates that. Everything indicates money coming into crypto left, right, and center. And I think we're just going to keep moving up and to the right. Not in a straight line, but we are, over time, we're going to move up and to the right. Now let's move on. What do we have left? Right, so we've got 18 minutes left. We've got to go through this article and then the meme coins. We've not done bad for time, really. Not done bad for time. Remember, if you are watching, Edgar is watching, for example. If you are watching, like Edgar, smash the like button. Say hello in chat. Say hello. Give me a wave. Whatever it might be. If you've got any questions, you disagree with me, whatever it might be, by all means, ask in chat. That is what I'm here for. Now, I did turn one of the chats off today. I've turned off one of the chats because literally I am getting nothing but spam. Now, what I am going to do is I'm going to turn the chat back on and I'm going to drop a comment to win box. So I did promise we would do that at 5,000 likes, and we hit 5,000 likes. So I'm going to just very quickly drop a box. And in 10 minutes, I'm going to turn the chat off again because I am sick of people spamming chat with fake links that take you to scam websites where Mrs. Gwyneth Johnson is going to make you 500% a day interest on your crypto, when clearly she doesn't exist and it's a scam. So that's why I've turned the chat off. I've had it off now for about 40 minutes. Right, so I have now turned chat back on. Tariq has come back into chat, I have just seen. Right, so you can now go and claim that box. Okay, so then, Sony Bank to experiment on stablecoins through Polygon. Remember, don't fade Polygon. I tell you time and time again, that coin is undervalued, and it has been undervalued at least for most of this year. Aside from its stablecoin experiment, Sony is also building out its own blockchain for protecting its IP. So Sony Bank is the banking and financial arm of the Japanese tech conglomerate and has initiated a proof of concept to issue its own fiat-pegged stablecoin on the Polygon blockchain, according to a Nikkei report. The trial aims to assess the potential benefits of stablecoins such as reduced payment and remittance fees. Remember what we talk about? Frictionless. Frictionless payments are where you can send money anywhere in the world within 5 seconds and it not cost you more than 5, 10, 15 cents. That's what frictionless means. It removes barriers to the flow of liquidity. The proof of concept will also evaluate any legal issues associated with transferring Japanese yen backed stablecoins and is expected to continue for several months. There is going to be a war, a financial war in the future, and it will be a currency war. And the currency war is currently head and shoulders going to be won by the US dollar as we are speaking right now. China, Japan, I imagine the UK, I imagine the euro, they will all have their own stablecoin issued. Maybe it'll be a CBDC, central bank digital currency. Maybe it will be an independent one backed with fiat. We don't know yet. But there's going to be a currency war in the future. Sony has entrusted the development to Belgium-based blockchain firm Settlement. This move aligns with Sony's recent efforts to expand its Web3 development, including a patent request filed by its video game division to adopt NFTs for enhancing flexibility in utilizing in-game assets. They are coming. The big gaming companies, they are coming. They are not as fast as new Web3 companies. It took 4 years for BlackRock to get its feet under the table and sort out Bitcoin. It's not going to take 6 months for Sony, the powerhouse that is Sony, to really get everything in place so that the wallets don't get hacked, so people's NFTs don't get stolen. And I've said this before, I would be more than happy to see some of these large institutions create a gated community of a blockchain that cannot operate outside of itself. So if there was a blockchain centralized control with Sony, with Nintendo, with even if you went as far as look at the game studios and you look at someone like Epic Games creating their own gaming blockchain independent of everything else and a kind of collective custody so assets weren't stolen, I would be all for that. I am not one of these people who say, regulations in the wind, we don't need any of that, let's all be free. That's great until your assets are stolen and then you can't get them back. So I'm all for Sony partnering with the rest of them to make their own blockchain, or work with somebody like Immutable X or Polygon to create it with a set of rules so they can benefit from using Polygon's network but still keep it in a gated community. Why do we want to have everything totally interoperable when there's the risk-reward ratio for certain things isn't there? I get it for money, I get it for privacy, I get all that. But for certain gaming, especially when it's on a console, it's hard to use, just let them have their own blockchain, in my opinion. So earlier this week, Hokkaido Regional Bank in Japan launched its country's first deposit-backed stablecoin named Toshika, which will be used in retail stores within Suzu City in Ishikawa Prefecture. Perfect, that's what I want to hear. This is, again, more positive news. Picking Polygon is the right thing to do, because Polygon, for me, in fact, I don't know if we've got the chart for Polygon. Well, I'm going to have a quick look, because I do think this coin is undervalued. I think the problem is it's been around for so long that people take it for granted. That's the problem for me with Polygon. It's just a coin that has the power of the network effect. With Polygon is bigger than with any other blockchain or any other layer 2. Now, what isn't good is this kind of, that's not good, but that is good. So whichever way you want to look at it, we bottomed here at 50 cents. I was telling you to buy at 50 cents. This is the hit zone of Polygon. Buying it there, 50, 60 cents. That was September last year. I'm absolutely convinced I was telling you to buy at those prices. Now, I haven't put anything in here since we last looked at Polygon. What I would say is, again, let's very quickly look at the bull market support band. Actually, let's go to the daily. I think the daily's better. Now, bounced off, bounced, rocketed up, got up to $1.25, bounced, came back down. Same situation as with Cardano. This, however, this little wiggle here, not so good. We need to get a bounce. I think we're due a bounce. Look at the RSI. RSI is low. I think we're going to get a bounce on Matic as well. If you don't hold any Matic, I'm not going to tell you to go and buy it, but I am going to tell you to go and look at the partnerships that they have. Go and look at who they are with. 90 cents. My opinion, I said this two or 3 days ago. If this coin was at 120, 125 right now, I think that would be a good price for the bull run. It's at 90 cents. So it's 30% away from where I think it should be. I think buying Matic now will certainly make you a lot richer in the bull run. I am not saying this is going to go to $20 or $30 in the bull run. I certainly don't think it is. I'm buying this to sell at between $5 and $10, depending on how well the bull run goes. If we get to $5 or $6 by September next year, November next year, I will be taking profits out of Matic. So I'm not expecting a 20 or 30x like some of the influencers will tell you. I'm expecting a nice 10x. A 10x from here is great because I bought Matic in January 2023, which is about there. So I bought it just under $1. So I bought it around here. No, around here. I bought it around there. So just under $1. I think it's got legs. It's in my $15,000 portfolio. I think it's got legs. I think it's going to do exceptionally well. But again, not financial advice. Go and do your own research. If you don't hold Matic, you should go and check it out yourself. Now, finally, I know most of you watching just want to degen into meme coins, buy the meme coins, YOLO in, not listen to any sensible advice about Bitcoin and Ethereum, and just go and spend all your hard-earned cash on a frog or a cat or a dog. So much so that I made a video yesterday about a project called Abble, A-B-B-L-E, a tiny little micro cap meme coin on Solana. And why did I make it? Because I like the project, I like the logo, I like the meme, I think it's nice. So I made a video about it. Not sponsored, not paid by anybody. And I thought, you know what? I came across this and I thought, you know what? We need to give some education on meme coins. And we found an elite crypto analyst who shares their 10 important rules for success in meme coin trading. So I thought, you know what, rather than just make videos and tell you that this is a pretty dog or a pretty frog or a pretty cat, I'm going to give you these rules one by one and then see if I agree with them or not. And the chances are I am going to sorry, I've got a couple of questions. What will happen to crypto when the CBDC arrives? How am I preparing for CBDCs? I've made a lot of videos about CBDCs in the past. Just to kind of put it into context, 97% of all money around the world is digital already. So $97 out of every $100 is already on a spreadsheet in a bank or a financial institution somewhere. That's a fact. Only 3% of money is in your pocket in change or notes. So this idea that CBDCs are going to change the world and we're going to have this dystopian 1984, with 97% of the way there, it's already happened. What CBDCs are going to do is remove fraud from the system. The money, as in printing the money, and stopping the fraud and maintaining your money supply costs an absolute fortune. It costs an absolute fortune. I think they're in Cardiff. There's a company in Cardiff in the UK that produces money for different countries. It prints the money for you. Now, for every $100,000 or $1 million that you buy in cash, you have to pay them $1,010,000. So it costs you about 1 or 2% of your currency just to make it. And it's a minefield and it's a nightmare. And the fraud that goes on with it is incredible. It's just a mess. So CBDCs are not necessarily a bad thing. They're a good thing. The problem is, like with a lot of things that mankind has created, things that are built for good can be used for bad. And that's where the issue is. Central bank digital currencies, as a concept, are not a bad idea. If there was an earthquake where you live and you had no way of working, you have no way of doing things, you could be airdropped relief money immediately and you'd be able to go and buy groceries and feed your families, whatever. Very similar to cryptocurrency in that respect. Bitcoin has been used in Turkey, in other instances where there's been earthquakes and natural disasters. It's been used to help people straight away. And certain crypto companies, exchanges have airdropped money to their customers to help them out as well. So they're not a bad thing. Where the problem is with central bank digital currencies is where the government has an overreach. And what I mean by that is, if you are overweight and you go and see your doctor and your doctor puts your name into a system and says, Mike is fat, and then my card that I have in my back pocket stops me from buying fast food or a takeaway, or stops me from buying fizzy drinks or chocolate or whatever it might be, that's where I draw the line, because that is state control over you and what you spend your money on. The same way that if somebody thinks that you are drinking too much, they stop you from being able to buy wine or whatever it might be. Now, that sounds great. You might think, well, it's actually helping people lose weight. It's stopping people from being, an alcoholic. You can go one stage further and look at what they're doing in China. If you don't visit your grandmother in China and she reports you, the authorities will stop you from being able to use trains or fly or get petrol for your car. That's where the problem is with CBDCs, not the concept, but how the concept is implemented by the government. There's a distinction. CBDCs are a good thing, and they're a good thing because they remove fraud, and fraud costs you at the end of the day. But it's a bad thing if the system is abused. There needs to be a global agreement of every country on earth with a set of rules that they all agree to, that they will not abuse central bank digital currencies. There's loads of other examples. We can talk about Canada, and we can talk about the truck drivers, where they retrospectively brought a law in that criminalized you after the event and froze your bank accounts. It's government overreach, and that's for a different time and a different video. And I've made videos about this in the past, but there we go. You are from Brazil, welcome to the stream. And yes, Flea, I am honest. That's one thing I will always try and do, and that is be honest. And if the day that I stop being honest is probably the day you should stop listening to me. But no, I'm never going to try and do anything but tell you what I believe to be the truth. And I'm going to be honest with you. Again, I'm going to be honest with you. It costs me a fortune being honest because of the number of sponsors, videos, whatever it might be, that we have to turn down on a weekly basis because we don't believe their projects. So there's a hint to like and subscribe to us. Give us a follow, smash the like button, because the more fans we get, the more we can speak to bigger, more realistic, real projects about bringing them on board to then give you tokens and things like that. But we've completely gone off on a tangent. Let's get back on it. Let me make this a little bit bigger so you can see. So meme coins have emerged as a lucrative opportunity. Analyst Cyclop shared the 10 rules for success in the meme coin industry. I hope you are all sitting comfortably. We're going to fly through these. So the 7 rules for beginner traders. Number 1, follow the trends. To maximize profits, it's essential to stay adaptable and trade wherever the action is happening, whether it's on Solana, Base, or any other chain. I like that idea. Avoid getting attached to specific projects or chains and focus on where the market is moving. I kind of agree, but this is the bit I agree on. You are not married to that coin. You are not married to them. You are not Mr. and Mrs. Bohm, Mr. and Mrs. Pepe. So if a project makes you 400, 500, 600% profit, take the profit, park at the profit, keep a moon bag of the token. So if you put $100 into a token and it runs up to $1,000, I would personally take out about $700. So I'm leaving 3 times my original investment in the coin, but I'm taking out 7 times the original investment in profit. That's how I would do it. 80-20, 70-30, even 60-40. That's how I would play it. Track whales wallets. This would take an awful lot of time. Dex Screener does identify wallets that have made profits. It gives you tiny little icons next to the traders. It will have a whale icon or a shrimp icon or a crab icon. So that is a good bit of advice. And Dex Screener, I'll go through in a different video. Create a whale's wallet lists. That's an interesting concept. I wouldn't personally be doing that, but that's a good idea. Analyze whale wallets, EVM chains. Use platforms like Arkham Intel to analyze wallets for Solana. Step Finance, Solana FM recommended. Repeat the trades of the most impressive wallets you find. That's not a bad piece of advice. A lot of these tips, however, require a lot of work. So you really need to be dedicated to the cause to do this. Do your own research. Even when replicating trades from successful wallets, it's crucial to conduct your own research. What does do your own research mean? Because everybody tells you to do it. It means go and watch our videos, for example. If you like the look of Pepe, go and watch some videos on YouTube from crypto streamers. Go and have a look at X. Go and have a look at CoinMarketCap and Dex Tools and go and see what the price action is of the coin. Has it already pumped up 1000x? Are you becoming exit liquidity for whales? Don't buy coins at the very top of the price. I always try and point this out. The last big call I made was the one about Bohm, and that was 2 weekends ago, I think. It was 2.7 cents. It was $1.4 billion market cap, and I said, don't buy this coin. Wait for a 60 or 70% retracement and then buy the coin. The coin fell back to 1.1 cent, and I bought some, and I'm still in profit now. I think I'm still up about 20 or 30%. That's how you do your own research. Never buy a coin that's got such a high market cap in such a short space of time, because it's only ever going to go one way, and that's down. Buy coins fast. Quick buying is a critical aspect of successful trading. Use sniper bots, customize the bot settings, enter the contract, invest and buy. Yeah, I mean, you can use many different tactics. If you're buying a brand new coin on Solana, for example, use Bird Eye, which I think was mentioned just before. That's what I would use, or Dupe. If you're trading on the exchange you're watching on, then you're notified when those coins are going to get listed. Go and check the coins out first and then decide where they are. Is that coin already at a $3 billion market cap? If it is, my advice, not financial, is don't touch it. If the coin is a $400 or $500 million market cap, then you can look at it because it has room to grow. I told you that Dog with Hat was too high. I said it time and time again for several days. Dog with Hat was too high. It's going to come down in value. Let me just very quickly go and show you what I'm talking about. categories, memes. There we go. So, dog with hat was at 4.5 billion, and I said that it was completely overvalued, and we've fallen 25.7% in the last week. That was expected. If you were buying dog with hat at $4, $4.50, whatever it might be, you were buying it at all-time highs, and that is something you should never do. I was trading this coin based on what Brogan was telling me to trade it on when it was at 30 and 40 and 50 cents. If you look at 7 days, let's go to the month. So if you're buying the coin there, and you've got this chart, by the way, so you have that chart up to that point, and you're seeing it run up. You're seeing a market cap of 4.5 billion. You shouldn't be buying a meme coin at that level, right? It's too high. You're going to lose your money, and then you've got nobody else to blame but yourself. Right, give me a second. I think that last point is probably the most salient point. There we go. Let's get rid of that as well. Know when to sell. Meme coins typically follow a rough pattern with the goal of entering after smart wallets have bought in and selling when the price reaches its all-time high or significant news causes growth. While predicting the exact pattern is impossible, understanding the trend. We've seen the trend. We've shown you the trend. The trend is, if it goes to an all-time high, look at the market cap. Is it the dog with hat market cap got near 5 billion and then massively retraced? If you think about a $5 billion market cap and now it's 3.3, that has retraced 33%. Now that's not a coincidence. Bonk ran up massively. It's now fallen back. The market cap is a good indication of where the prices are going to go. And you want to be buying $300 or $400 million meme coins on the hope that they turn into a $2 billion meme coin, because then you're going to 6, 7, 8 extra money. You don't want to be buying a $4 billion meme coin unless you're going to hold it for the long run. And meme coins are not things that you hold for the long run. I've got WEN, which is valued at 300 million. If WEN runs up to $1 billion, I'm going to sell the coins. I've got Bonk, which I've bought, or I've staked, sorry. I didn't buy that until it had seriously retraced. So I've got some Bonk, and I hold some BOEM because I bought it at 1.1 cent, thinking it's going to run at 2 cents again, maybe 2.5 cents again in the next pump. But when it does do that, and if it does get to that price, then I'm going to sell it. You should have a near-term price target strategy for these coins. Now that doesn't mean that I'm going to sell BOEM and never buy it again. It means I'm going to sell it on the pump and hopefully buy it on the dump. And if it keeps going, I won't care because I'll have made my 150% profit or whatever it might be. If WEN goes to $1 billion and I sell it at $1 billion, I've made 4x on the money. I don't really care about anything else. That's 400% profit. You shouldn't worry about what you've missed out on. People that were buying Bitcoin at $1 and selling it at $10, they 10x their money. It doesn't matter what it's worth now, they 10x their money. 1000% profit. Anyway, we've gone on long enough. It is now 10 past 12. I hope you've all had a good time. If you have, you know what to do. Give me a follow. Smash the like button. And we are on multiple different places as well. So, if you want to find out more about OR, which is the new craze on Solana, I am going to try and make the video today. The issue is that Solana is so rammed that I can't actually get in to start the mine to take the video to then make a video for you. So I will try my best. I have got a quick video on dupe, which I'm going to do and upload today. I'm having, obviously, tomorrow off. It's Sunday. Thank you, Tata, for the comment. I try my best, and that helps me sleep at night. Knowing that I am being honest with everybody helps me. I don't know how people can sleep when they are being dishonest or trying to rug or whatever it might be. So you should stay true to yourself. So with all that being said, thank you, everybody. I hope you have a great weekend. The videos should be going up today. And I will see you all on Monday, bright and early at 11 o'clock. We stream every day at 11 o'clock, Monday to Saturday. We don't stream on Sundays, but we do stream every other day. 11 o'clock, and Brogan will be back on Monday and Wednesday nights. So take care. Have a great weekend. Thank you, Solo Sky, Mags, Kishan, Diablaski. All of you, have a great day.